Hi, Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 316 with our wonderful friend Sandra Grossman. She's been on the show before talking about immigration updates and really firm stuff and practice. And in particular, the AILA 2024 conference, which is coming up. We're both on a panel talking about marketing for immigration lawyers on the Saturday. So definitely come. We're going to be in Chicago to see you. And also, I just got booked for Thursday on the lunch. I'm going to be talking on a panel hosted by Serenade e-immigration. They're talking about software and all this kind of stuff. So definitely come. It's a lunch and learn. They sponsor with AILA, so a lot of you are going to be there. I'm going to be hosting the panel. Definitely want to see you. Serenade's immigration, as you know, is one of the all-in-one softwares that's leading the field of immigration when it comes to case management and a lot more. Check out their website for more information and schedule a session with them to go over their software. But thanks to them so much for sponsoring. Let's get it started. So good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Hi, John. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I got to say this. We haven't talked about this. Sandra or Sandra? Which one do you prefer?
Sandra.
Sandra. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we're speaking at the AILA conference. I'm having the time to do this AILA stuff. When I first started my practice, I hope, like, why don't they ask me to come and talk? Why? I'm like, I want to do this. And then once I started talking at these conferences, I'm like, I don't have time to do this anymore. Like, I don't have any time to write this up. And thankfully, our conference, our session doesn't have a CLE, so it's a little bit easier because we're talking business, or it doesn't have CLE paperwork of the summit too much. But how does your life look in the lead up to the conference and being off for a week, essentially not being able to do your business? How does life look in the next month for you?
No, I appreciate the question. It's definitely, a big chunk of time to kind of quote unquote take off from the regular business of immigration law. But I love these conferences. I'm kind of like an AILA geek. I find that it's such a unique opportunity to sort of cut out all of the noise and really focus both substantively on, some of the new law and hear from these incredible experts in the field, but then also to think about not just working in the business, but on the business of law, and just to take a step back. And when I was starting my firm way back in the day, I found these opportunities to be really, really rewarding.
Yeah, same here. And now more and more, it just gets fine tuned to what my needs are for my firm now. Where I was like 10 years ago, I was sitting every technical conference. Now my team may come and do that, but a lot of for me is networking, getting behind the scenes of how do you manage these businesses so unwieldy, having this live entity that you're managing. And your firm's obviously, how many lawyers do you have in your firm right now?
So currently at our firm, we have 18 lawyers across 2 offices, and we're located in Maryland. We have one office in Bethesda, Maryland, and one in Silver Spring, although my office is looking at a move to DC early next year. Yeah.
So that's like, I have like 2 lawyers, and that the idea of moving when you have 18 lawyers seems like a nightmare. Like how big a decision is to move offices? How complex is that?
Well, it's interesting you would ask, because I mean, it does have a lot to do with marketing, actually. When I joined with my business partner, Becky Young, who manages the employment-based part of the practice, we both had our own practices, and we were both in Maryland. So we ended up with a firm with 2 offices in Maryland. But now it's been, more than 5 years, I believe. And it really, given our audience, it doesn't really make sense anymore to have 2 offices in the same state. Also, it has to do with sort of accommodating client needs. With my part of the practice, we've developed this whole brand within the practice that we call the International Protection Practice, which has to do with more politically sensitive asylum cases, a lot of Interpol work, some human rights filings before places like the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention and the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And we find that our clients would prefer for us to be in Washington, D.C. Often they're visiting from abroad, and it would just make it easier for them. So that's definitely, one of the reasons we're looking at the move. And yes, it's not fun to move an office. I'm not really looking forward to the process, but I'm looking forward to the outcome.
Well, let's talk some inside baseball. You don't have to be specific if you don't want to, but
Yeah.
where do you have a separate mailing location for your D28s so they stay same, or is it depending on what lawyers wear, or how do you handle the mailroom aspect of it?
Well, we've got two different mail rooms, and on our G28s, we've got two different addresses.
Hmm.
And we haven't had
I
major
see.
issues. Yeah, yeah,
'Cause I'm trying to streamline my mailing because we have essentially 3 or 4 different lawyers. All goes to our location, but, it just how to make things faster to get out to, like, being scanned and uploaded, but we're, like, fully digital, and one thing we wanted to do is, start an office in DC because my senior family associate attorney, she's barred in DC. And I was looking at it, there's additional tax stuff, you have to have some person that's there do it, and I was like, "Oh, this" she's in Virginia, like, but Virginia's so huge, it's, like, takes hours to go from one to another, so, it's not as easy to go. So it was a little bit of a mess, but yeah, I had planned to do a DC office as well because it's bi-coastal that way. It makes sense for LA and DC for us.
yeah, that sounds like nice coverage, kind of across the country for
Yeah.
you. We most of us are barred in Maryland, but then waived into DC. So you can
Mhm.
waive into the DC bar. And I've actually had a DC bar membership for, I don't know, over 10 years, but I've kept it inactive. And I'll probably now activate it
Makes sense.
as we move into DC. Yeah.
Where do you live in DC or where are you close to? I don't know the areas.
No,
Probably like
no, so our office is in Bethesda, Maryland, which is really, really close to DC, but we're just over the Maryland line. So, and I live very close to the office. So that's going to be another kind of sad part. But my kids are older now, so
Yeah, that
I
makes all the
figure
difference.
I can do a little bit more. And also, with the post-COVID thing, we're also remote. So, well, I should say we're hybrid. We're in the
Yeah.
office. We require our attorneys to be in the office only one day a week. So it should be, pretty workable for everyone. I don't know what you guys do, but
Yeah, we're fully remote, and originally I said everyone could just do whatever times they wanted. But as we get busier, I'm like, oh, we need to have specific times where people are here. Like just as I'm professionalizing the firm from like this one-on-one, hands-on, just community lawyer to like a assistant. Then you're like, oh, I got to crack down. I got to tell new hires like it's fixed times. It's not as flexible.
right.
You have to have certain people there at a certain time doing things, and it becomes more big company kind of way. But it's better that way. It ends up being better service, so that's why it's like it's better to do it.
Yeah, I've had a hard time letting go of some in office time. I do think it's important for culture reasons,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's one of the things because we're fully digital and now we have more team members. Like, oh, if we're just in person, some things that take like 2 hours, we get done in 5 minutes. And at the same time, the cultural aspect, the same motivations on the same page. It's like it's really important. But we have such a broad team from everywhere. Getting them all on one video page or Zoom is kind of hard. Though one tip I got to share is one thing I started to do. I'm trying to explain something on Zoom. I just share my screen and start clicking. And through this process, and our team members sharing their screen, there's so much inefficient use of like just Gmail or inefficient use of like Dropbox or systems you have because people don't know like the shortcut like things where they're going long ways around. That's been really helpful. So essentially at this point, every week, whoever's presenting or talking should share theirs. We have to share their screen so we can see what they're doing. We're like, we have Mac. So if we press the space bar, our preview opens up. Before one team member was just manually opening every time, which would add like 5 seconds of loading time. Which is if you're working on cases, opening PDFs left and right, it's gonna take forever. Why not just press space bar? It's these little things have been really like the biggest things in the world. Even like some of them are unbelievable or someone's doing something or myself was doing it. I'm like, I don't know, there's a better way. For 10 years I've been clicking for no reason. Like so that stuff's been I thought I'd share that. Just it's so small but so
so
impactful.
what's it called? The
No, I just we're zooming each other. We share our screen, so
Okay.
we see when I'm like, oh, let me look at this case file, and I'll go into a folder and open it up. And someone be like, you don't have to do that. Like, you can just go here. I'm like, oh, really? Or like when I'm searching something online, they're like, oh, there's a better way to search, and it's just like internet use habits that no one looks when you're like on your phone. No one sees how you scan on your phone, but there's a better way to do it. There's just no one to audit it. But this forces us to audit ourselves through the Zoom screen. So obviously, have the some information has to be hid or something like that. But I just kind of share all to make it easier, and then
Yeah.
people see stuff. I'm like, oh, wait, you can do this, or I give my 2 cents on that.
Mhm.
So what you mentioned, like having this new product and brand and that's really interesting. We haven't talked about this before, but that is becoming the most important thing really in law practice, all areas, is to kind of differentiate what you're providing, because it gets commoditized and it's harder for people to understand. And it's a fascinating field you have expertise in particular, because the Interpol issues that happen, and you're well known, really just handling these kind of cases. But what business decisions have you made, and do you have non-lawyer business partners to develop what this project is, how to do the operations behind someone contact you on, how the questionnaires work? How developed is the brand, or is it just more like impactful internal, or is it like how sophisticated have you developed this new product?
No, those are really good questions. I mean, it's been a process, right? It started off without much, I would say, to be quite honest, much strategy
Yeah,
behind it.
naturally emerged. Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of organically emerged from working on numerous asylum cases that involved red notice issues. And we were like, what the heck is this? It's stopping our clients from traveling. It's resulting in all of this additional litigation in court. And in our cases, not in every case, but the allegations in these red notices were pretextual. Like they were additional evidence of persecution, but the judges and the ICE attorneys and USCIS was not getting that message. And
Yeah.
these red notices were looked at like evidence of criminality, which they are not. So we started looking into it and learning about it and understanding that you could delete a red notice, and that there were arguments that you could make before judges and adjudicators about what a red notice is and isn't. And then we developed this expertise, I would say.
Hmm.
And from that, we realized that we really had a niche, that there were not a lot of other immigration attorneys working in this area. And I would say, like originally, the development of the international protection practice was more inward facing. We
Hmm.
sort of developed different teams in the firm, some that were dealing with red notice issues and some weren't. And it was really more inward facing. And then over the years, as the issue gained traction and the firm gained a reputation of it, we decided to turn it into a branding and marketing effort.
Hmm.
So we met with professionals in the field to help us figure out how we describe this outward facing
Yeah.
practice, what we wanted to be known for, how we would describe ourselves as lawyers, and then we made it outward facing, as you say, by the website. We have a blog on transnational repression and Interpol abuse.
Hmm.
And then lots and lots of publications, webinars, things like that. So it's within our larger website, but it's a different practice and sort of externally facing a different practice.
Now, asylum cases are really intensive cases, and then the kind you describe are next level, and they're unique too, and they're essentially politicized. How how do you How do you manage that? Because with the timelines it takes for asylum cases, I mean, I'm not sure in your area how it is, but here in LA, it could be like 7 to 8 years before someone has an interview. How do you deal with that headache of maintaining cases, or you do it once you submit, then it's our contract limits? Because we're doing stuff like that for I-130s that are taking too long, for example. Like, how do you
Right.
handle these 7-year cases in this method?
So this is actually really interesting, and it's a bit technical, but just very briefly, for us, the asylum case and the deletion of the red notice are actually very much a symbiotic relationship. Why? Because Interpol has a policy that if you have even a pending asylum case, the organization won't uphold a red notice if the person
Wow.
is what's considered a refugee under international law. And included in that definition is someone who has a pending asylum case.
Mhm.
So when we see an individual that is a victim of red notice abuse and they're in the United States, of course, we sort of lay out for them the pros and cons of applying for asylum, but and the biggest con is obviously the wait time, but the
Yeah.
biggest pro is that it will absolutely and very quickly lead to a good decision from Interpol, at
Wow.
least provisionally in deleting the red notice. And then you can take that decision, which is on like the very beautiful Interpol letterhead, and take it to the adjudicator as evidence that, wait a minute, this red notice isn't, what it purports to be. So the other thing is, John, that we've developed, so in our litigation practice, we file quite a few mandamus cases on I should say, asylum cases that have been long delayed. So we just had a few that had been pending, I think, 10 years, and we filed mandamus and got interviews within like a couple of weeks, if not a couple months. Yeah.
I love it's such a robust system. I've been wanting to have a lawyer just those lawsuits within the company, and it's been hard to develop that, but it's like a mandatory tool you have to get anything going. Obviously, clients to be able to afford this kind of stuff. But
Right.
I have a Nats client who has issues where it's not getting approved, and some lawyer quoted him some astronomical fees. I'm like, I'll learn how to do litigation for those kind of fees. I think the guy was like,
Yeah.
way too much, but it's such an important practice area to have, and we have next year coming along. The immigration system could turn on its head.
Yeah.
How has your litigation aspect growth happening in your firm? Because the numbers, when you look at them, it's exponential growth on litigation when it comes to charts in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we saw, and let me just say, I agree with you that the fees are always a dance,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's always walking this line between the kind of work we want to be doing and the kind of work that also keeps the lights on,
yeah,
and allows us to hire the very best attorneys to run these
yeah,
kinds of
yeah.
cases. And
Not
we
overwhelm yourself with volume to make up for it, then you can't
exactly.
provide service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we don't want to be a volume shop, and
yeah.
our fees reflect that, but we also do a lot of pro bono and low bono work.
Mhm.
So, it's a dance, I would say.
Yeah,
Uh, but in terms of your question about litigation, I think, like you, we really started understanding during the Trump administration that taking these cases out of the hands of the agencies was really the best
yeah,
way to get results for our clients. And so we made a conscious decision to develop the litigation practice. We hired a partner, Patrick Terrell, who runs our litigation
nice.
practice. Hopefully we don't have a repeat of this in November, but if we do, we'll be ready. So,
We're near end of our time, but I love to have sessions where you just talk about the process of bringing on a partner and how do you analyze that, the financial structure that you analyze, and I really because I'm scaling the firm, and so last 10 years of this podcast been very technical at the law and stuff. It's been my passion, and now I'm like when I see firms like yours, I'm like, oh, there's so much information. How do you do this? I'm just trying to set up a CRM system for the last 4 months, and like I've been clicking so much, my shoulder hurts from all these clicks and trying
oh
to figure
no.
stuff.
I mean, I think it's not easy, but I think if there's one, I've done a lot of things wrong, but if I've done one thing right, it's taking a calculated risk to hire good people.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to grow, you have to hire good people, and you can't be doing the same thing that you did when you
Exactly.
were a solo practitioner, where you did everything.
Mhm.
Right? It really becomes much more about managing other people. So that's why it's also a very conscious decision of letting go, in order to gain more.
Yeah.
But yes, it's definitely a longer discussion, and I'm happy to talk with you about
Yeah.
it another time.
'Cause, one thing I've seen is there's so many immigration lawyers who have dealt with what I've dealt with, but it's hard. I mean, every firm is gonna have its own culture, so many different, but, like, we don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel to try to provide good service to people. Information's there, it just has to be somewhat collected, and so, I mean, AILA does obviously the conference is all about that. We're talking about the marketing portion, which I'm inevitably going to operation admin portion of it because I get all these leads and I'm setting up systems so I can better handle it. And that's been my like 2024 so far. But thank you so much, Sandra, for coming. How could people contact you if you want to reach out? And obviously, you're going to be in Chicago as well. If they want to reach out and meet you, that's a good place to do it.
Absolutely. So excited to speak with you at the conference, John, and definitely come talk to us after our panel. It's late Saturday afternoon, but we will be there. And my website, www.grossmanyoung.com. And if anyone has any questions, all of our emails are on there. So feel free to reach out to me.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the
Yeah.
show again.
Thank you.